Michael Bartier grew up in the Okanagan Valley, where, as he likes to say, we know it, we love it, we are a product of it, and we feel responsible for it. His wines are an expression of the valley, bright, fresh, pristine, and alive. His vineyards bask in a rare combination of growing conditions some 50 degrees north of the equator. It's a relatively high-altitude desert climate, featuring hot days and cool nights, low humidity, tolerable winters, and globally young soils laying over glacial till. Bartier believes that soils are the deciding difference between a good wine and an excellent wine. We asked him for the backstory on South Okanagan soils and what it means to be a steward of this land in 2020.
Where I'm sitting right now, here between Oliver and Osoyoos on the Black Sage gravel terrace, if you want to call it that, there used to be hundreds, maybe thousands of meters of ice covering where we are right now. During the last ice age, that ice retreated. But while that ice sheet was here, it was a conveyor belt. It was bringing rocky material down from northern and central British Columbia and depositing it in the area. And now, after that ice sheet was removed, all of that rocky material was deposited just north of us. A great big ice dam formed in a narrow restriction in the Okanagan Valley just north of us. That ice dam burst and created this cataclysmic flood and deposited all this rocky material right where we are right now, these rocks that we are farming right now. And this has a profound effect. These rocks, this very complex mix of rocks, minerals on our wine. There are two unique, geological forms on the east side of the Okanagan Valley. The gravel terrace that we're sitting on right now, really coarse soils, in contrast to the fine sands that are across Black Sage Road from us. It's a very easy landmark. Well, they wanted to build Black Sage Road as far east as possible, so they built it as far as possible on the gravel. And as soon as they got to the sand, they wouldn't build it over there, and because it was just difficult to build out there. These coarse soils, they're difficult to farm. It's very physically demanding to work in this vineyard. However, the reward is that is the character and the structure of wines that you get from such well-drained soils, and it's not just the texture of the soils, but it's actually the constituent materials that make up those subsoils. It's an incredibly complex mix of different rocks, different minerals, and that ends up in the wine glass.
The notion of smelling, tasting, or feeling a stony mineral aspect in wine is very controversial. Never one to shy away from cerebral topics, Bartier suggests it may only be a matter of time before the science follows what's already happening in the glass.
You can have two wines, that come from the same genetic material, the same vines, that are grown, a few meters apart, but they're in different geographical or geological formations. They have the same weather, they have the same farming, everything is the same. What's different is the geology, the substrates, the materials that they're grown in. And those wines taste completely different. What I'm saying is that groundwater goes through the rocks. It picks up minerals, and it finds its way into the water. And that water delivers these minerals to the grapevines, and it goes up through the roots, trunk, the shoots, and into the fruit. The plant physiologists, do get their knickers in a twist so when they hear that type of thing, because they say, no, science has not proven that. However, I think that I believe, as a layperson, I believe that science has failed to prove what is absolutely obvious, because there is nowhere else where that flavor is coming from. It's not coming from the air, it's not coming from the sun, it's not coming from the farming. It has to come from the different soil types. I've known this vineyard for a long time. It was planted in 1999, and in 2002 I bought the first crop from this vineyard, from the owners at the time. And it was very good fruit. The wines were fantastic. I was a winemaker at another winery at the time. I ended up signing this vineyard to a long-term contract with that winery. And eventually, I left that position to go work at another winery. But I knew, I knew the expiry date of that contract. About the same time as the expiry date, I was knocking on the door. And of course, we purchased the vineyard, and very happy that we did. And I didn't know then about the importance of the minerals, of the rocky, gravelly, coarse soils. And that was my first lesson on that. That was my first profound lesson on that.